Arizona woman sentenced for North Korean tech worker fraud scam. A shocking betrayal. An Arizona woman sentenced to nearly a decade in prison for aiding North Korean operatives to infiltrate U.S. companies. This case exposes a complex and alarming scheme that not only defrauded American businesses, but also funneled millions to a hostile foreign government. But here's where it gets controversial. How could such a sophisticated operation go unnoticed for years, and what does this mean for national security? Christina Chapman, 50, has been handed a 102-month federal prison sentence after admitting her role in a fraudulent foreign worker scam that directly benefited North Korea's government. According to the Department of Justice, DOJ, Chapman orchestrated a scheme from 2020 to 2023 that involved helping North Korean residents impersonate U.S. citizens to secure remote IT jobs at 309 American companies. This wasn't a small-time scam. It was a large-scale operation that stole the identities of 68 real Americans to make the deception possible. The financial impact was staggering. Chapman's scheme generated over $17 million, money that was split between herself and the North Korean regime. This case highlights a disturbing method by which North Korea has been able to bypass international sanctions and restrictions, using cyber and identity fraud to infiltrate the U.S. economy. Investigators uncovered a trove of evidence, including a photo showing shelves full of laptops in Chapman's home, which she used to receive and store devices from the companies she defrauded. These companies ranged from a Fortune 500 giant to a major television network and a Silicon Valley tech firm. All believed they were hiring legitimate American workers. But in reality, the jobs were filled by North Koreans who are legally barred from working in the United States. The DOJ revealed that Chapman shipped 49 laptops to a Chinese city bordering North Korea, facilitating the transfer of sensitive technology and data. When authorities executed a search warrant in 2023, they recovered more than 90 laptops from her residence, underscoring the scale of the operation. Chapman pleaded guilty in February to multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and conspiracy to launder monetary instruments. Beyond her prison sentence, she must forfeit $284,556 intended for the North Korean operatives and pay a judgment of $176,850. This case is not isolated. Similar stories have emerged, such as a Chinese citizen admitting to stealing U.S. trade secrets related to national security technology, and a California tax expert confessing involvement in a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme involving illegal aliens. These incidents collectively raise urgent questions about the vulnerabilities in U.S. corporate and governmental systems. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Ferris-Pirro emphasized the gravity of the threat, stating, "North Korea is not just a distant threat. It is an enemy within our borders. It has committed fraud against American citizens, companies, and banks, threatening Main Street in every possible way." FBI Assistant Director of Counterintelligence Roman Radeski added, "The North Korean regime has generated millions for its nuclear weapons program by exploiting American citizens, businesses, and financial institutions. And this is the part most people miss. Even a highly secretive and sophisticated adversary like North Korea cannot succeed without the help of willing U.S. citizens like Chapman." Her cooperation was crucial in defrauding over 300 American companies by enabling North Korean IT workers to gain virtual employment and launder their earnings. This case forces us to ask, how many more such schemes are operating under the radar? Are current security measures enough to protect American companies and citizens from foreign infiltration? And what responsibility do individuals have when their actions directly empower hostile regimes? Peter Dabrowska, who joined Fox News Digital in 2025 after a career in political reporting, cut this story. He grew up in Rhode Island and graduated from Elon University. You can follow his updates on X at NPMD Reports or send story tips to Peter Dabrowska at fox.com. What do you think? Was Chapman's sentence fair? Could this have been prevented? Share your thoughts and join the conversation below. U.S. woman sentence for identity theft scheme to employ North Koreans. Imagine a scenario where a U.S. citizen is sentenced to over 8 years in prison for masterminding an elaborate scheme to steal the identities of American workers and hand them over to North Koreans, generating a staggering $17 million in funds that ultimately ended up in the hands of North Korea's nuclear weapons program. This is not the plot of a Hollywood movie, but a real-life case that has left many questioning the extent of North Korea's reach into the United States. Christina Chapman, a 50-year-old woman, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and money laundering conspiracy, and was handed a 102-month prison sentence. But here's where it gets controversial. Chapman claimed she was unaware that she was helping the North Koreans, despite sending 35 separate packages to Dandong, China, a city on the border with North Korea, over an 8-month period. U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. General Jeanine Pirro warned companies to be on high alert for similar North Korean plots, stating that North Korea is not just a threat to the homeland from afar. It's an enemy within. It's perpetrating fraud on American citizens, American companies, and American banks. The secret, the Jeep that oppose 309 American companies, including several on the Fortune 500 list, such as Nike, was orchestrated by Chapman, who ran laptop farms from her homes in Arizona and Minnesota. She would log into computers issued by the companies, making it appear as though the North Korean workers were physically in the U.S., and then help them remotely connect to the laptops and receive their wages from the firms. But what's even more alarming is that Chapman was paid $176,850 for her role in the conspiracy, which began in October 2020 and ended in 2023. As part of her sentence, she was ordered to hand over the money, as well as over $284,000 in profits that ultimately were due to be paid to the North Koreans. The investigation, aided by the FBI, has raised questions about the extent of North Korea's involvement in cybercrime and the role of U.S. citizens in facilitating these activities. The FBI warned that North Korea has earned millions of dollars for its nuclear weapons program by victimizing American citizens, businesses, and financial institutions. So, what can be done to prevent similar schemes in the future? Should companies be doing more to protect themselves from these types of threats? And what role should the U.S. government play in preventing North Korean cybercrime? We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. As Pirro so aptly put it, you are the first line of defense against the North Korean threat. It's time to take a closer look at the ways in which North Korea is infiltrating the U.S. and to consider the implications of this type of cybercrime on national security. The fact that Chapman was able to dupe so many companies, including major corporations, is a stark reminder that no one is immune to these types of threats. And this is the part most people miss. The fact that North Korea's cybercrime activities are not just limited to hacking and malware, but also involve complex schemes like identity theft and money laundering. As the U.S. government continues to grapple with the threat posed by North Korea, it's essential to consider the human element in these types of crimes. How can we prevent U.S. citizens from being recruited by North Korean operatives? And what can be done to support those who have already been victimized? These are just a few of the questions that need to be answered in order to effectively combat the threat posed by North Korea's cybercrime activities.